I'm uploading the best decks for arenas 1 through 24. You'll find top-performing strategies for every arena. Make sure to click the bell icon so you never miss a winning deck. So Arena 7, where you unlock some of the best cards like Royal Giant, Prince, Dark Prince, and Balloon. With these, we can build powerful decks to dominate this arena. And no, I'm not showing trash combos. I'll show only the best decks for Arena 7. And in this entire video, I'm going to show you skill decks, Royal Giant decks, Royal Hogs decks, Balloon decks, Hog decks, PEKKA decks, Goblin Barrel decks, and Mortar decks. Now look, I'm covering every important troop in Arena 7, but for some troops like Goblin Barrel or Balloon, I'm only showing one deck. That means they're not a top priority in this arena, so don't stress too much on using them here. Anyway, here's the full list of troops I'll be covering decks for. And if you want even more decks made just for you, check my website ewcgaming.com. You can search by specific troops, arena levels, or just find what works best for your playstyle. Links in the description. So, basically, what are skill decks? Some of you probably already know, but let me explain real quick. These decks depend on how well you play, your timing, placements, reactions. They're based on skill, not just strong cards. Skill decks can beat almost any other deck and crush through arenas. But here's the thing. Each arena has its own type of skill decks, and today I'm going to show you the ones for Arena 7. Now here's the catch. These decks need practice. You can't just drop cards and expect easy wins. You gotta master them first. And yeah, they're not for everyone, but if you do master them, you'll barely lose. Still, they take time to learn. That's why I'll also show you some easier decks later in the video. But first, we start with the Royal Giant decks. Let's go. Explanation time for Royal Giant. Here we go. Royal Giant is that one troop you can connect to the tower super easily, if you play him right. Most of the time with Royal Giant decks, you've got to push him with support troops, like Dark Prince, Mini PEKKA, or even Goblins. Why? Let me show you. Let's say I'm using Royal Giant with Dark Prince. Now watch this clip. I drop my Royal Giant and boom, my opponent drops swarm troops, but my Dark Prince clears them instantly. He's perfect for splash damage. Then the opponent drops a building. No problem. My Dark Prince also hits the building along with the Royal Giant, so the RG can get to the Princess Tower faster. And don't forget your spells, Fireball or arrows. Like in this clip, I used Fireball right when he dropped more swarm, cleaned everything, and Royal Giant just kept swinging at that tower. Now what if I pair Royal Giant with Mini PEKKA or Prince instead of Dark Prince? Here's the deal. If you're using Mini PEKKA or Prince, you must take Fireball or arrows. Mandatory. Because once you start your push, your opponent is definitely going to place a building plus swarm troops. That's where you drop Fireball or arrows. Clear the swarm, damage the building, and let your Royal Giant take the tower. You should also bring in backup troops like Valkyrie, Baby Dragon, or Witch. Watch this. I dropped Witch behind my Royal Giant, and when the opponent placed swarm troops, boom, gone. Witch just cleaned it all up and Royal Giant finished the tower. Now, a key thing with Royal Giant decks, destroy the first tower as fast as possible. Why? Because once the first tower is down, you can drop your Royal Giant deep into enemy territory, near their second tower. And when you pair that with Mini PEKKA, Prince, or Valk again, the backup troops will help destroy whatever defense they place, and RG will just smack the tower nonstop. Do this cycle again and again. Keep the pressure up. Royal Giant loves towers, so make him hit them often. Once your opponent loses control, he won't even time your RG push properly, and you'll take full advantage of that. Now for defense. When building your Royal Giant deck, always include solid defensive cards, Mini PEKKA, Witch, and a building like Cannon or Tombstone. Or go with combos like Prince plus Valk, or Baby Dragon plus Knight, or even Dark Prince minions. Depends on what fits your style. If your opponent pushes with PEKKA, defend with Witch plus a building. If it's Mega Knight, drop Mini PEKKA and a building. You'll be fine. And if the match is going out of control, yes, use Royal Giant on defense. Drop him in the lane to pull enemy troops, let your towers chip them down, and back him up with small troops like Spear Goblins or Archers. So that's it for Royal Giant. Here's your first Arena 7 Royal Giant deck. And if you want more specific decks just for Royal Giant, head over to my website, ewcgaming.com. You can search for decks by card or by arena. Links in the description. Electro Dragon's coming in. I can easily handle it with Musketeer. Yeah, now's the perfect time to drop Royal Giant right in front of her. Musketeer's gonna back him up for sure. And look, Royal Giant gets a few clean shots on the tower already. Easy value. I just used the Fireball too. Look, playing Clash Royale isn't always just for fun. Sometimes you really gotta plan ahead. Right now, I see he dropped Night Witch. That means I need to start thinking about what's coming next. Now I'm an experienced player, so I can already tell. He's probably running Golem, or maybe even Elixir Golem. Most of the time when someone drops Night Witch, it's followed by a heavy card like Golem, Elixir Golem, or sometimes even PEKKA. Let's see what he's really playing. But yeah, you gotta read these signs before it's too late. Bruh. Now I pushed my Royal Giant again, but this time with Mini PEKKA and Musketeer. And yep, I took his tower. But right after that, he dropped 2 Elixir Golems, just like I said earlier. No worries though, I've got solid defense. Inferno Tower, minions, and my Musketeer still on the field. But nah, he still managed to take my tower. But look at this, I almost finished his King Tower already. And in the end, he tried one more Elixir Golem push, but I shut it down and finished his King Tower. Here's deck number 2 for Royal Giant. This one's with Dark Prince, Witch, and Baby Dragon. And you already know, that combo is powerful. He started the game with a Hog push. I didn't have a building, but no worries. My Dark Prince and Spear Goblins handled it perfectly. Then I dropped Skeleton Dragons just to set up for my main push, Royal Giant. Skeleton Dragons are there for backup. He tried Hog again, thinking I had no defense. But nah, bro, Spear Goblins again shut him down. And look at that, Royal Giant easily crushed his Princess Tower. Clean. He dropped Mega Knight. Now watch how easy it is to defend this big guy just using Witch and Spear Goblins. Right after that, I dropped Skeleton Dragons and took out his other Princess Tower. I think he couldn't handle that massive push at the end. He just gave up. So I dropped another Royal Giant and finished his King Tower. Now these are just some of the best Royal Giant decks. If you want more decks for Arena 7, head over to my website, links in the description. So now it's time for Royal Hogs decks. And let me tell you, Royal Hogs are super annoying for your opponent. Why? Because no matter what, they somehow connect to the tower, and that's their specialty. Anyway, Royal Hogs are easy to use. How? Let me show you. When you're building a Royal Hogs deck, you should always include spells like arrows, fireball, or any throwable spell. Why? Because the moment you push with Royal Hogs, your opponent will definitely drop swarm troops. That's when you fire off your arrows or fireball, clear the swarm, damage the defense, and let your Royal Hogs go to work on that tower, just like in this clip. Now, what if they've got Bomb Tower? Yeah, that card melts your Royal Hogs. In that case, bait it out first. Push with something else, maybe Mini PEKKA or Baby Dragon. Make them use their Bomb Tower early. Once it's out of cycle, then drop your Royal Hogs and enjoy the easy tower damage. Also, don't forget, when using Royal Hogs, back them up with support troops like Witch, Musketeer, Valk, or Bomber. These troops help clear out defenses and protect the Hogs so they actually make it to the tower. When building your Royal Hogs deck, try combinations like Witch plus Mini PEKKA, Minions Valk, Knight Baby Dragon, or Valk Skeleton Dragons. You get the idea. Whatever fits your playstyle, build that deck and start pushing trophies. Now for defense. Your deck already includes defensive cards like Minions, Witch, or Valk, but you should also add cheap defenders like Skeletons, Spear Goblins, or Goblins. They help a lot against big pushes. And yes, always include a building, cannon, bomb tower, inferno tower, whatever works for you. For example, if your opponent pushes with Prince, just drop Skeletons or Goblins, then place a building or Witch, Minions, Valk behind them. Easy defense. Now, do I really need to explain how to defend PEKKA? Nah, my audience is smart. I trust you guys. Anyway, you'll also see in this clip how I handled PEKKA and even Mega Knight. It's easier than you think. Here is the first Royal Hogs deck. So, in this deck, I'm using Inferno, Prince, and Valk. You already know how powerful they are.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way, Bruh.
He started the game with Archer Queen, and I started mine with the Nightmare Troop, Prince. Then I dropped Fireball to finish off his Queen, and boom, my Prince connected to his tower. That hit from Prince? Yeah, it's literally annoying for anyone. Here, Valk's on defense, and on the other lane, I start pushing with Royal Hogs and Mini PEKKA. Now look, Royal Hogs are chipping his tower, and Mini PEKKA is doing serious damage too. He kept cycling his Goblin Drill and Queen over and over, but I held the defense with Valk. And in the end, I finished the match with a Fireball. Easy win. Alright, so now let's talk balloon decks. These decks are super popular in Arena 8, but yeah, you can actually unlock Balloon in Arena 7 too. That said, most players don't really use Balloon in Arena 7. Why? Because we don't have Freeze Spell or Lightning Spell unlocked yet. If we had those spells, we could easily connect the Balloon to the tower using Freeze or Lightning. But it's fine, we'll still make some great combos for Balloon. Time for the breakdown. With Balloon decks, the rule is simple. Just get your Balloon to the opponent's tower, and use support troops or spells to help. Here's how. When you push with Balloon, drop minions right behind it. The Balloon moves slow, but with minions behind it, it feels faster and gets better support. Now if your opponent places a building, don't panic. Just use Fireball to damage the building and clear the way. Boom, your Balloon gets to the tower and drops its bomb. Easy. Another method, use Balloon with Giant, Hog, or any troop that targets buildings. Why? Because if your opponent has a building, it's hard to get your Balloon to the tower directly. So, bait their building with Giant or Hog. Once they drop their building for that push, they have nothing left for your Balloon. Now you push Balloon plus support troops like Minions, Witch, Musketeer, or Archers behind it. Alright, now for defense. With Balloon decks, always include good defenders like Minions, Valkyrie, Mini PEKKA, Witch, or Knight. Also bring a building. Tombstone, Bomb Tower, or Inferno Tower, whatever fits your deck. So let's say your opponent drops PEKKA, you defend with Tombstone and Minions. If it's Mega Knight, use Valk plus Witch. If they drop any other big tank troop, handle it with Inferno Tower and cheap cycle cards like Skeletons or Goblins. Easy. Alright, here's the Balloon deck I'm using in this match. It includes Giant and Fireball, just like I explained. So if my opponent has a building, I drop Giant first to bait it out, then follow up with Balloon and Fireball. For backup, I've got Minions, and on defense, I've got Knight, Archers, and Musketeer. Basic but solid. Let's go. Opponent started his game with Hog. I defended it with Tombstone and Musketeer. Easy stop. Now, right after that, I knew it was the perfect moment to push, so I had two options, Giant or Balloon. But I went with Giant, just to test what he's got in his deck. Turns out he didn't defend with any building. And boom, my Giant walked straight to his tower and got a couple of big hits in.
Whoa, what the hell?
Now look, just because you made a deck for Balloon or Hog doesn't mean they always have to be the one breaking the tower. Like in this deck, I brought Giant along with Balloon. Why? In case the Balloon doesn't perform well, I've got Giant as backup. Watch this. Balloon didn't connect earlier, so I switched it up. Dropped the Giant, and boom, he connected again and started hitting the tower. That's why sometimes you should bring two win conditions in your deck. Like here, I've got both Balloon and Giant. Just in case one fails, the other finishes the job. But in the end, I dropped my Giant, Balloon, Minions, and Archer full push. And yeah, I easily finished his other tower with that combo. Here are more decks. Check these out. And if you need even more Arena 7 decks, go to my website, links in the description. So now, it's time for Hog decks. Honestly, Hog decks are super easy to use, because Hog connects to the tower pretty easily if you play smart and have good synergies. Now what is synergy? Simple. It's how well your cards work together to make combos stronger than just using them alone. In Arena 7, you unlock a bunch of useful troops like Musketeer, Mini PEKKA, Bats, Witch, Goblin Barrel, and more. With these, you can build a solid Hog deck. Now, when you're building Hog decks, always take a spell like Fireball or Arrows. Why? Because when you push with Hog, your opponent will usually drop a building or swarm troops. That's your cue. Drop fireball or arrows to clear the path and let Hog get those tower hits. For extra support, always add troops like Musketeer, Witch, Minions, or Valk. So while you're pushing with Hog, these support cards will help deal with defenses and keep the Hog alive longer. Here's another cool synergy. Goblin Barrel plus Hog. Here's how it works. You send Hog toward the tower, and you know your opponent will drop a building. At that moment, throw Goblin Barrel directly at the tower. The tower locks onto the goblins, and your Hog sneaks in and starts smashing the tower with almost no damage taken. And if your opponent tries to defend with more troops, just fireball them. Easy value. Another synergy is Hog plus Dark Prince. Drop your Hog, and right behind him, drop the Dark Prince. Now watch. Whatever your opponent places to stop them, the Dark Prince will splash them out of the way. He'll even hit the building while your Hog is doing the main work. In this clip, you can see Dark Prince clear out goblins and help destroy the cannon, so the Hog easily reaches the tower. And like I said earlier, Fireball plays a huge role in Hog decks. Watch this clip. Fireball completely saves my push and helps my Hog connect to the tower without getting melted. So that's it for Hog decks. Super fast, super effective. Here's your first Hog deck. He started his game with Golden Knight, and I started mine with Hog. I defended the Golden with Mini PEKKA and Bats, easy. And my Hog, it hit his tower clean. Anyway, after that... But look, just watch how easy it is to defend it. You don't even need crazy defense cards. Simple cycle and good timing, that's it.
Bruh.
He also had Royal Hogs, literally the most annoying card in the game. I defended them using guards, spear goblins, and bats. Clean defense. And in the end, I pushed with Hog plus Mini PEKKA. Just look at that synergy, it's insane. That combo crushed his tower and I won the game. Now here's the second deck. Look, the game hasn't even properly started and he's already going for a huge push. Anyway, I defended it with Witch and Electro Spirit. Then it was the perfect moment to drop my Hog behind the Witch. The plan was she'd protect the push in the tower. But nah, it doesn't always go as planned. So I threw in the Flying Machine too. And just watch, the Witch ends up doing massive damage to his tower. Crazy start! Again, he pushes with his Goblin Stain and I defended with Witch. Same thing happens again. I dropped my Hog and the Witch ends up doing massive damage to his tower. This combo is just too strong. And in the end, my Hog finally hit his tower. Here are more Hog decks for Arena 7. If you want more, check out my website, ewcgaming.com. Links in the description. It's time for PEKKA decks. One of the most used decks in Arena 7, and honestly, one of the most powerful decks of all time. PEKKA is that card you can use both for pushing and defending. Super versatile. Now look, in Arena 7, we unlock Prince, Dark Prince, Hog, and Battle Ram, so we can make some insanely good PEKKA decks with these. Mainly, one of the strongest combos is the classic PEKKA Bridge spam deck. Yeah, I'm talking about PEKKA plus Battle Ram. I'll show you this deck today. And trust me, this deck is literally broken. Even top players run this deck. It works at all levels. Now when you're building a PEKKA deck, Fireball or arrows are a must. Why? Because when you're pushing with PEKKA, your opponent will drop swarm troops or defensive buildings. One spell clears it, and your PEKKA keeps walking straight to the tower. Now about synergy. If you're taking Dark Prince or Battle Ram, they go behind PEKKA. So when you drop PEKKA, immediately support him with Dark Prince. If your opponent tries to stop it with swarms or buildings, boom, Dark Prince clears the path, PEKKA goes straight to tower. If you're running Prince or Battle Ram, make sure to have arrows or Fireball ready. Because like I said, your opponent will spam troops to block the path. Your spell clears it all instantly. Now another important part, backup troops. Bring Witch, Minions, Valk, or Bomber. These are for both supporting your push and defending. PEKKA is already great on defense, but with Minions, Witch, and a building like Bomb Tower or Tombstone, you can stop any big push, even Golem or Mega Knight. Alright, Here is your first P.E.K.K.A deck.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. Get your goddamn ugly ass on.
In this deck, you can use both Mortar and P.E.K.K.A. Look, let's say you can't connect your P.E.K.K.A to the tower. That's where Mortar comes in. That's why I added it. I started with a P.E.K.K.A push, dropped minions and arrows. Yeah, he tried to defend with Goblin Cage, but come on, it's P.E.K.K.A, it breaks anything. And yeah, P.E.K.K.A finally connected to the tower and took massive damage. And now look, he's using one of the most powerful decks. Anyway, see what he drops. I somehow defended it. Now listen, I'm just showing you how to play with these decks. When you try them, you'll face Arena 7 players. But here I'm up against Arena 23, 24 level players. Honestly, beating them with Arena 7 decks is a bit tough. But don't worry, for you, it'll be easier because you're in a lower arena. Anyway, that's why I lost this one. Just look at the tower's health, man. It is what it is. Now, here's another P.E.K.K.A deck, and this one's called the P.E.K.K.A Bridge Spam deck. And trust me, this deck is one of the most powerful in all arenas. Again, in all arenas. Let's jump into the gameplay. P.E.K.K.A's on the way with skeleton dragons for support, and I dropped the battle ram too. Now just watch. Either P.E.K.K.A or battle ram is going to connect to the tower. It happens every time with the P.E.K.K.A Bridge Spam deck. And with Fireball, bro, it's like a 7-year-old playing the game. After some time, I pushed my P.E.K.K.A again with minions and dropped the Fireball. And literally, it destroyed his tower, even though he dropped barbarians. And I defended it all with just Inferno and skeleton dragons. Simple. And in the end, by pushing P.E.K.K.A and skeleton dragons, I won the game. Here are more P.E.K.K.A decks. If you need even more, check out my website, links in the description. Goblin Barrel decks might not be the most used in Arena 7, but you can still build some really effective decks with Goblin Barrel. And that's why I gotta show you this one. Now listen, unlike Hog or P.E.K.K.A decks, you can't build an entire deck just focused on Goblin Barrel. But if you use the right strategy, Goblin Barrel becomes deadly. First combo, Goblin Barrel plus Hog or Battle Ram. Why? Simple. When you push with Hog or Battle Ram, your opponent will most likely drop a building to stop it. Now, while that building is active, throw your Goblin Barrel right on top of it. The goblins will either damage or destroy the defense, and your Hog will go straight to the tower. Just like in this clip, clean push. Second strategy, Spell Bait. With Goblin Barrel decks, your job is to bait out your opponent's log or arrows. How? Take swarm troops like goblins, spear goblins, goblin gang, or minions. Force your opponent to use their spell early. Once they drop log or arrows, boom! Throw your Goblin Barrel directly on the tower. They can't stop it, and you get massive chip damage. Another way, use Goblin Barrel with tank troops like Giant, Hog, or P.E.K.K.A. Push with your tank, and your opponent will probably drop Tesla, Inferno, or some building to stop it. Now, drop your Goblin Barrel on their defense. The goblins will distract or destroy the building, and your tank will walk to the tower like nothing's in the way. That's the real Goblin Barrel strategy. Bait and burst damage. Here's the first Goblin Barrel deck for you. Let's go. Game started with Mini P.E.K.K.A, Hog, and Musketeer, and I also threw my Goblin Barrel. I took a little bit of damage.
Oh!
Again, I pushed with Battle Ram, Minions, and Musketeer, and deployed my Goblin Barrel. Took a little bit of damage. And again, the same thing happened. I don't want to bore you or waste your time. In the end, just watch how I won the game. Need more decks? Visit my website, links in the description. Now it's time for skill decks. These can't be beaten easily, and they can push you from Arena 7 to Arena 8 if you master them. But remember, mastering something takes time and effort. I won't explain every single skill deck here because there are just too many out there, and each has its own unique strategy that you'll have to figure out yourself as you play. But I will show you 3 solid skill decks that can definitely help you climb. Here's the first one. It's similar to the classic Hog 2.6 cycle deck. And honestly, guys, most top players use Hog 2.6 to push their trophies. Here's how you can play this deck. It's simple. Cycle your Hog as fast as you can using Electro Spirit. If your opponent drops a building, just fireball it right away. You can also push your hog with the musketeer for more pressure. Now for defense. Literally, you can stop anything with Valkyrie, musketeer, cannon, and skeletons. PEKKA? Easy, just watch. Mega Knight? Still too easy. Watch it here. PEKKA plus Prince? Still easy. You'll see it here in action. Now let's jump into the gameplay. He started the game with Skeleton King and Miner, and I defended with Valkyrie. Yeah, I took a bit of damage on my tower, but no worries. Now here I had already deployed my Valkyrie and Musketeer, and it was literally the perfect time to drop my Hog Rider. I had Fireball ready, so I used it on his Tesla and chipped his tower. Now look how useful Electro Spirit is in this deck. Again, he used Miner, and I defended with Musketeer and Electro Spirit. Then Skeleton King came in again. I stopped it easily with Musketeer, Valkyrie, and Cannon. Easy. In the end, I pushed my Hog Rider with Valkyrie and Musketeer and dropped a Fireball. You can see what happened. If you want more decks like this, check out my website. Link is in the description. And here's another skill deck. This one's built around Mortar. It's super simple. Just cycle your Mortar fast. If you need to protect it, drop Tombstone, and for quicker cycling, use Bats, Minions, and Electro Spirit. For defense, you've got Valkyrie, Minions, and Bats, more than enough to handle big tanky troops. So yeah, it's solid on both offense and defense. Let's jump into the gameplay. Bro was playing really well. After cycling my Mortar twice, I finally connected it to the tower, backed it up with Minions, Electro Spirit, and Flying Machine. I also used my Fireball, but honestly, the Flying Machine did most of the work. Once again, I connected my Mortar to the tower, got one solid hit. In the end, I won the game by connecting the Mortar one last time along with a Fireball. Guys, making videos like this takes a lot of time and hard work, so I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.